Lads, how we doing everybody? Welcome to twitch.tv/1030. My name is 1030 and let me tell you, it's wonderful to have you in today. It's absolutely sensational, etc. Tonight for you, we have got just a sensational, lovely time. I'm going to be watching a wee bit of Tomorrow's World. If you're into that, would you like to watch a wee bit of Tomorrow's World? That could be cool. Who knows what's going to happen in Tomorrow's World? You can hear and see me and stuff, can't you? So, earlier today, got a phone call after the stream, right? And it turns out Fred Dog's ashes were ready to be picked up for the animal hospital. So we went and we did that, and it was nice. It was good. So in the living room, I've got an urn. I haven't pre-screened the episode. Where's the fun in that, Base Embrace? Where is the fun in that? So brought home a wee urn. Well, it's quite a big urn actually. And got a wee certificate of cremation and all of that. And they took his paw print. And they've got a wee clipping of his hair and all that sort of stuff. So we've got that in the living room and it's quite nice. Oh jinx, what have we got going on here? Stux Music, hiya, how you doing? Stux Music, thank you very much for subbing using Prime. Time for life, the universe and everything, 100%. Thank you very, very much. That'll be the lasagna, yes. An urn filled with cremated lasagna. So, right, it's rare that I do this, but in memory of Fred the dog, and just because I need a drink, we're getting tore in. I'm not getting mental because it is a Thursday night, but I think it's appropriate. I thought I'll start my stream and I'll have a wee whiskey on stream for Fred. So we might as well. The reason I got this bottle a wee while ago, it's sort of getting onto the label, was because of at some point in my life I want to put a deck of cards inside a bottle, because that's a done thing. It's called an impossible bottle, and if you've got the patience and some long implements, and I've got a long implement, let me tell you, it's possible to deconstruct a deck of playing cards and sort of reconstruct it inside a bottle. And ever since I was a wee boy, I was like, I want to do that. And then when Fred died, on the day Fred died, we were in the supermarket and I was like, we should get some whiskey. We should pour one out for the wee guy. So I thought, I'll have one on stream. Because we've just got his ashes home. So, to Fred the dog, everybody. To Fred the dog. Cheers. Single or blended? I don't know. I don't know anything about whiskey. Instantly I've got heartburn. Oh my god. Instantly I've got heartburn. My body's like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Anyway. A friend of mine used to do that for a living, making the paw prints and everything. Very sweet thing they do. Oh, it really is. We were just saying though, when I left, like, I don't know if I could work in an environment like that, because it's so sad, man. But they were very good, very professional, and wonderful care that he got and stuff. I will start at the top, but before I do, let me say, if you've got any good news, feel free to stick it in the chat. My good news is that wee Freddy is home, right? And it's quite a big urn. It looks like a human-sized urn. I was like, whoa. But it's cool. Rachel wanted him to be cremated and all that sort of stuff. It's something that I would be like, meh. I didn't get it done for my old dog, for my last dog Max. But seeing it all, it's all quite nice. I'm glad that I did it. Let me start at the top. Hello Mootsie, hello Katari Links, hello Jigsaw Dust, Friendly Advice Carnivore, Left Him On Device Meatballs, Base Embrace, how you doing Carnivore, Meatballs again. Might need to deploy a machine learning algorithm to scan Tomorrow's World for Cox and Boz and surgery. We'll see how it goes. Last night we almost saw a cock and balls, and we definitely saw a dissected human brain, so that was good, wasn't it? we'll see how it goes. Hello, Lucy Kelly. Once again, I'm really sorry your profile picture was on stream for about 3 hours. I didn't mean that, Lucy Kelly. I hope it's okay. Junk Pop says, a friend of mine used to do that for a living. Aye. It's really nice. We go... In fact, maybe I'll show you on stream. I'm not going to go and get it all. But maybe I'll show you on stream like tomorrow or something. Ollie Fred's wee paw prints and all that sort of stuff. Oh, it's a wee shame, man. What a wee guy. Carivore wants to know my whiskey. It's just the one that I like, the shape of the bottle. I don't know anything about whiskey. Woodford Reserve, Kentucky. I'm a Scottish person and I'm drinking American whiskey. Is that sacrilege? I think that maybe is. But I don't know anything more about it than that. So there you go. There's the back. I bought it specifically because this bottle number is 1138, which is a Star Wars Easter egg. George Lucas's first film is called THX 1138. So I was looking at whiskey and I'm like, I don't know what one's good. Then I saw 1138 on that bottle. I'm like, that'll do me. Hello Jager Wolf. He looks like a lovely wee guy. Worst part of owning a pet, unfortunately. Aye, is brutal. When you first get a pet, you're just buying delayed grief, aren't you? But I'm very glad. Fred was worth all the heartache. He definitely was. He was a good guy. Hello everybody, welcome in. Some wonderful names in chat, everybody. Some wonderful, lovely people in chat. Carivore says, can he help an info dump? It's just alcohol that lowers the temp that your body feels pain from heat, so it makes your body heat and your throat feel burny. Alright. Cool. I had a sore... I get heartburn quite easily. And as soon as I took a sip of that, my body was like, mate, what are you doing? But it's since calmed down. It was absolutely fine. Cool. Because the setup that I've got for profile pictures, like nobody's asked for that, and I was always worried that maybe somebody would sub and then not like that their picture's up for 10 seconds or something like that, and then when it breaks, your picture's up for fucking hours sometimes. So I'm sorry that you were a victim of that. Meatball says it's probably a human-sized urn because all his ashes. Human urns genuinely only contain a fraction of the ashes because human bones are big and won't completely burn unless you pulverise them. Interesting. In the certificate, because I always thought, right, sorry to get morbid here, right, but we're talking about Middy Doug. I always thought that when they cremated pets, that like multiple pets were processed at the same time, and then you received a fraction of those ashes that might have, like, you know, hamsters and snakes and, you know, horses and that all mixed in. So it was more of a symbolic thing that we got it, but when it arrived, I got a wee certificate saying, no, he has been individually cremated. So it's like, alright, so everything we've got there is Fred, which is cool. So aye, there we are. I feel a wee bit like Paul Bearer. Oh yes! Hello Candlelight, hey Jimmy Two Streams in chat, 100%. Well listen, enough of all this nonsense. What we're going to do is get tomorrow's World on, because I've been really looking forward to it. I loved last night's stream, I thought it was fantastic. And I want to jump in and see what we've got going on today. I think my stream could be sharper. My stream looks a lot blurrier than your average stream, and I'm wondering why that is. Because I'm in focus. I think there's inbuilt tools in my camera, which I probably shouldn't be messing with live on stream. Yep. Yeah, I will mess with them later on. But I want to increase the sharpness of my camera. It looks lower resolution than most. And yet, I've obviously put a lot of work into making my stream as best that it can possibly be. Who knows? Hello Candlelight Base Embrace says, good news, I can turn my house lights on and off via a simple, cheap and robust set of switches. Aye. It's because it's becoming quite an issue between us. But I'm getting there, right? It's a work in progress. Hello Hammy, welcome in. Hello Tiger Tam. Whiskey elitism is just pushed to bolster the export industry. Still though, I'm Scottish, and so if I'm drinking whiskey, which isn't something that I do regularly, it would make sense if I knew a wee bit about Scottish whiskey. Woodford Reserve is pretty decent whiskey. Oh well, there you go. Hello Spoggers, how you doing? Welcome in. What I've learned with whiskey, right, or if you're drinking anything that might sort of burn your tongue, is you take a breath in, and when you're holding the breath, take a sip, and then as soon as you've swallowed, exhale, and the exhalation goes over your tongue through your mouth and thus prevents the sort of burny nature of all your stuff. And since I've adopted that, I can tan whiskey good. St Bernard's used to be used to revive people who had accidents in the Alps, and they realised it cools the blood. Eesh. Aye, because remember they were kicking about with whiskey in a bottle round their neck. I prefer Irish and American over Scotch as well. English pals always turn into wankers about it. I don't really have any opinions on whiskey at all, and I don't hang out with people who know anything about whiskey or anything like that. Scottish Mama Bear, how you doing? Welcome in. Aye, we're doing alright with Fred, right? Scottish Mama Bear, I should be on tomorrow night, yes. I'm not working tomorrow during the day, so I'll be on as well. And I should be on tomorrow night. We should maybe have a big Friday night extravaganza. So what I'm trying to do is 10:30 at night, when I can, which should be tomorrow as well. And then during the day, 1:30 in the afternoon as like my regular thing, unless I happen to have a day job shift. Aye, Fred's a good guy, man. I like him. So we're all doing okay with Fred. And the first couple of days were horrible. The day of it happening was horrible. The day before it was horrible. And it feels like we're both feeling a wee bit guilty for kind of coming to terms with it. You know what I mean? But grief's different for everybody, and we all deal with it in different ways and stuff like that. But what's really helping is looking at his photos and videos and stuff like that on the phone, and just seeing all his mad stupid stuff, all his nonsense, all his wild ideas. Thank you, Mr. Pish. Good news, the 3D print turned out excellent. Chameleon, where did you get the model for it? Because that sounds like a fun thing. Hammy says, did you see that OpenAI have said it will require copyright holders to opt out of Sora? Imagine if that guy down the market selling pirated VHS tapes in the 80s and 90s declared it was up to the copyright holders to opt out. That's quite interesting. I'm in the UK, so I don't have access to Sora 2. Otherwise, I would have given it a spin by now just to find out how fucked we all are. Looks like there's some edge detection going on round about your head. There might be. It might just be like an illumination of my mad lights. So I've got. So is that causing any? I've got this layer here. But with that layer off. So this here is just a raw feed from the camera. Yep. This here is just a raw feed from the camera. So I think it's maybe just edge highlighting from blue lights. Oh, I should have put another light on over there. Well, it doesn't matter. Well. Hello, Electronic Well, welcome in, how you doing? Where are we? Hello, Cheese Hobbit, how you doing? Spogger says, last 2 streams have been madness. I'm telling all my mad conspiracy relatives to delete Facebook and just come here instead. I'll keep yous right, man. Get it mixed with some Coke Zero. Well, I don't know. I do have a wee bit of Diet Coke in there, but it's getting towards bedtime, and Diet Coke's got a wee bit of caffeine in it, doesn't it? So I thought I'll be up all night if I have a wee Coca-Cola. Where are we? Hi guys, Jimmy, your dad feels like shit. So, have you done COVID tests? Is it definitely COVID that you've got? How bad are we talking? And remember, Rachel's off tomorrow, so we can go and get you messages and stuff. Where are we? Paracetamol and a ton of water can work wonders. My dad hears this off me every time. Drink plenty, warm, lots of vitamin C. I pretend to know more about whiskey than I really know. Some American bourbon whiskey is yum, prefer Scotch, but honestly enjoy what you enjoy, not what someone else tells you to. I understand what you're saying, but see, for somebody that doesn't drink whiskey, if I'm in the shop and I'm like, where do I begin? I suppose that's why you do tasting courses, isn't it? So you can be like, right, what's that? Right, what's that? What's that? What's that? You can't get the COVID tests? That's mental, isn't it? I've got COVID tests here, but they're for like 3 years ago. And so the variant of COVID that you might or might not have, I don't think will be detected by these tests. I don't know how it all works. Isn't that mad that if you can't get the tests, then therefore it doesn't exist? Because you can't measure what you haven't tested. You know what I mean? My dad had to convince my mum some of the stuff she was watching was AI, and she was really stunned. Have you seen that meme that's going around just now of, for whatever reason this is what it is? The format tends to be an old woman on a bridge that's made of glass, and she's got a big rock, and she throws it down on the glass bridge, and then lots of people fall into water underneath. That scene has been depicted hundreds of different times, with hundreds of different old women, and hundreds of slightly different glass bridges, and hundreds of different people falling into water. It's like a new genre of AI slop that for some reason we're being fed. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird that this is now what we're doing. And for whatever reason, it is working incredibly well on the internet in terms of making numbers and folk being into it and stuff like that. Beneath the headphones, did you do well? Good news, that's me back from the bowling league. Who do you think you are? I am. That's amazing. I drink Macallan 18. Cool. I don't know anything about whiskey. I don't know if that's a good one. Carivore says they expire too. They do expire too. Aye, we tasters. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have a sophisticated palate, and it's very, very rare that I drink. So I don't really know what I'm looking for. The AI ads of knives cutting geodes and solid metal are ridiculous. I've seen the AI knives cutting things and it's sort of turning into cake for some reason. Animals on trampolines, yep. The bots love the glass bridge videos. What have we become? In the immortal words of Zaffer Cakes, what have we become, man? I don't even know. Hello, Luna. Everyone assuming AI, meanwhile this underground worldwide network of rock-thrown old women are getting away with it. And blaming the AI, 100%, man. Don't trust an old woman on a bridge with a rock, let me tell you that. All I know is whiskey turns me into a madman, that's fair enough. It's good to know, isn't it? Drink doesn't really... Red wine can make me kinda just glowing happy, like a big stupid happy drunk. And most other booze, I don't know, it's been so long since I've been absolutely mangled that I couldn't tell you. Phone battery low, so I'll wait to watch the big telly, which I'm not logged on to the Twitch app, but still lurking. Need to head to Australia on Saturday AM, says Scottish Mama Bear. Tomorrow's good news, all the very best. That sounds very exciting. Meatball says, you can imagine the women on the bridge AI slop can be applied to loads of social issues, like what is the DEI leftists are doing the bridge's society. Well, right now AI is just depicting some mad stuff and we're all looking at it and accepting it like, oh aye, very good. But at some point it'll be used, if it hasn't already, to sort of shape our political opinion, and that's mental. Beneath Headphones says, I did alright tonight, fair few strikes, been practising with my poker face so I don't over-celebrate when I get one, even though I felt like taking my top off and running down the alley screaming my head off. I think it's fine to do a wee, like, fucking yes, like that. I think that's fine, I think that's only human. Because you don't want to do a strike and just be like that. Because then folk will be like that. See the ego on that guy? You know what I mean? So you can do a strike and just be like, fucking yes, man. But you don't want to be like whipping yourself with your own belt. I don't know. I don't do bowling. I don't know the ins and outs of what is accepted. 19 years dry, congratulations. I love the taste of rum, but it makes me a nutter. I did most of my drinking in my teens, and then moved on to smoking, and didn't really miss it. But when I was a teenager, I drank so much whiskey that once in a restaurant, I just had a regular cola without any whiskey in it, and I took a sip of it, and my body just wanted to spit it out because I was so used to the taste of whiskey and Coke that when I took a sip of this, it was like, oh, like as if I'd mixed something up, or as if I'd accidentally taken something in that. So at that point, I thought, right, okay, I'm maybe drinking a bit too much. So I kind of wrapped it at that point. So it's rare that I do, but if you're just in, basically we got Fred the dog's ashes back today, so I thought I'd come on stream and pour one out for the wee man. Not literally, because that would be a waste of whiskey, and also he doesn't drink, so there'd be no point in it. But as a ceremonial sort of gesture to Fred Macaulay. Stevia says, when I was on holiday, they had sleeves of 200 cigarettes with a wee miniature whiskey sellotaped to the side. That's all you need, isn't it? 200 fags and a wee whiskey. There you go. Channel 13 says, I fucking love red wine. I haven't drank in over a year and a half, however, not because it was a problem. I think, as well, like, it's just a worthwhile thing to do is to not drink if you don't miss it. Because, everybody knows the various downsides and stuff like that. So if you're the sort of person that doesn't really care for it or doesn't want to, then, you know, everybody, each to their own. That's what I say, moderation, etc. Apart from wee bowling, you're well good at that. At what? Oh, right, I understand. I'm class at wee bowling. I might go back and try and score another perfect game in wee bowling. That would be cool. I've been off cigarettes for about 3 years, but fuck, I was tempted. Cigarettes had a bigger vice on me than alcohol ever did. I haven't smoked a cigarette in a wee while. I think I'm more or less done with cigarettes. I got into vapes for a couple of weeks there, and just sort of wrapped that as well. But anyway, there you go. Hello Bromo, how you doing? Hello Super D, how you doing? 200 cigarettes and a wee whiskey, spontaneous combustion DIY kit. Ryan says, do you not drink at all now? Well, I mean, I'm drinking right now. I'm literally drinking a whiskey right now. But I don't, like, I will rarely drink. And if I am drinking, I will have like one, like maximum two. And that'll be maybe like literally once a year or twice a year or something. Hugman came and went there, didn't have a drink. Not because I had a problem with it or anything like that, I just don't really have an appetite for it. I was in a restaurant maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, and I had a beer with my meal in a restaurant, like one. But when I was younger, I would drink to get drunk because being drunk is amazing. And so Friday night, go to a mate's house and just consume as much as I could, because what's the point of just getting a wee bit drunk when you can get absolutely like bouncing off walls and stuff like that. But then that got old kind of quick, do you know what I mean? So I don't not drink, you know what I mean? But I rarely indulge. A wee small short drink like that is the best way, I think. Just one or two. 100%. I could pull up a clip, video evidence of your famous DJ session. I thought all of that was deleted. When the Queen died, I got out my chops, man. But that's different. I've asked him out for a drink and he always said no. No, I've never said no. Have I said no? I just don't drink. See, being in pubs as well. So for the longest time I was agoraphobic. And so I just didn't want to be in that sort of environment. But I've got better with all of that sort of stuff maybe in the past 2 years. So I maybe could, but it's just not my scene really, you know what I mean? Anyway. Shall we watch a wee episode of Tomorrow's World? I think we bloody well should. Before I do, let me credit my mate Paul, who made the music that you might or might not be listening to, depending on how I've set the stream up. You should maybe be able to hear a wee bit of music in the background. So that's by my mate Paul, and you can follow his SoundCloud and YouTube links if you want to, if you like it. To be fair, pubs are meh unless there's a pool table on the go. I wish there was an equivalent to pubs that you could go to that wasn't revolved around boozing. Also, nobody's got any money anymore to drink, and everything's just expensive and stuff like that, isn't it? Ambient Wobs in the background, Audible Dynamite. So they were made by my mate Paul, and if you're into that sort of stuff, his link is in chat. And a daemon that I've created should have just detected that the track has finished and it has closed the media player, which is great. £8 a pint, mental, isn't it? Mental. What's the point? What's the point? You could buy a gram of weed for that, depending on who you buy it off of, it would last you. Anyway. Ryan's asking what whiskey I'm drinking. I don't know much about whiskey, so it's that stuff. If anybody's into that, don't really know. The reason I bought the bottle is because it's got the Star Wars number on it. And because I want to deconstruct a deck of playing cards at some point and try and reconstruct them inside a bottle. Kind of like the whole ship in a bottle type of vibe. So that'll be cool. Came in second in a pub quiz last night before the stream. Won £25 bar tab. Oh, here. Exactly, channel 13 THX113, exactly. So the whole vibe, because a lot of people have just come in, is we got Fred Dog's ashes back today. That's what I did after the stream. We went into the animal hospital and got him back in a wee urn. So I thought I'd come on, pour one out for the wee guy and watch some Tomorrow's World. Because that's what Fred would have wanted. So without further ado, let's get into it. But first, right here, where are we? Nothing quite like watching a man untangle some headphones. Dougs are the best, they really are. Okie dokie, we have got... we've got this episode, we've got that episode. I'm trying to just find one that might be good. Jesus Christ. Right, so we're continuing with 1981, right? And just, let's just see what sort of stuff.
Good evening and a warm welcome from all of us on Tomorrow's World.
This isn't going to go well, is it? They're going to cut to a big slice, like a sheep carcass or something, aren't they? This is 1981.
Because tonight we're all wearing wool. Well, they are, obviously. I'm wearing a bit else besides, and we needn't go into that, except to say that I'm a bit of a hybrid. Much of the material in this suit is a product of the oil industry, synthetic fibres mixed with wool. But I won't be able to go on wearing suits like this for much longer. As we all know, the world's oil is running out. Something that...
Is that a big hunk of meat they've put right next to the sheep? Fucking hell.
Will never run out is this little chap. Not quite as cuddly as a sheep.
Goodness me, what is even going on there? That is Nice EXE. How you doing, Cal? Thank you very, very much for the Prime sub. Thank you very, very much. Welcome in. What's happening, what's even happening, and also how's it going? If you're just joining us, we are watching an episode of Tomorrow's World where, to be fair, it looks like synthetic meat. Doesn't look like actual meat. It is a quality profile picture, it definitely is. Channel 13, that's excellent wordplay.
Is it? But from this animal could come an alternative, not only to wool, but to man-made fibres as well. What is it? It's a greatly enlarged model of a bacterium. And this stuff, dangling from each bacterium, is called polysaccharide. A bit like microscopic wool, it's produced when you grow practically any bacteria in sugar solution. Now, when that's removed and dried, you end up with this, a fibrous, dusty material. The next step then is to mix this material with distilled water. And now watch what happens when I squirt a solution of this bug fibre into a hardener. There we go.
See just the close-up his dusty sheep fingers and starts stinking into it.
Long threads begin to appear. And once those bug threads are dried out, they look like this. Almost.
Don't sheep just make wool naturally, though? You know what I mean? It is James Acaster. It looks exactly like throwing ropes. It looks exactly like James Acaster, doesn't it? It's a baby's cock. It isn't. It isn't.
Indistinguishable from ordinary wool yarn. Now, the really exciting thing is that there are over 1 million...
How did they get the stuff first? So they shave the wool, which makes actual wool, but then the rest of the sheep they just sort of mix up. How did they get the... I wasn't paying attention. I was just distracted by all the razzle-dazzle.
Types of fibre that can grow on the backs of bacteria, all with different potential uses. On the minus side, one of the drawbacks of this particular material is that it tends to dissolve in water, which offers interesting possibilities if you go out in the rain. Here's Mike.
So it is quite plainly distinguishable then if one is wool and the other one just dissolves in water. That's pish, isn't it? That's a pish. A lot of fucking about though as well, isn't it? Like squirting stuff in things and dry. A lot of let's just use wool though, eh? This guy. Got my suspicions about this guy.
I've always had a sneaking desire.
Different guy, sorry, I don't have my suspicions about this guy. Nothing against this one. I thought it was the old boy.
To have a car with a chauffeur. But never did I believe that I'd end up with a car with no driver at all.
1981, everybody, they predicted all these things that have only just recently came to fruition.
Not that it's the most comfortable of rides. In fact, it's because the road is so rough that the driverless car has had to be developed. This is a French test track, a pavé, and here the suspension and bodywork of vehicles under test are pounded as successfully as possible. 5,000 kilometers like this is the equivalent of a vehicle's complete life in more ordinary driving conditions. But if the experience here is enough to finish off the car, it's also enough to do much the same for the drivers, who not so long ago had to survive an ordeal like this as well. But thanks to this automation, tests on the pavé, which used to take 6 months to complete, can now be finished in just one. And nobody has...
Do you think the road is helping to steer the car? It looks as if it's somehow got into like a groove. You know what I mean? That it's kind of just when it's going to stay on that. Do you know what I mean? It looks like that sort of thing rather than technology is driving the car. Aye, it's like slightly veering left constantly in a loop. Aye. To build that as a car that's driving itself, I think is, yeah.
to suffer the concentrated vibrations of the pavé anymore.
Hello, Llama. Hey, we were meant to be playing games. Well, I'm into that. I just thought that you'd forgotten because Cudder was in earlier on and I was like, Cudder, you and me and Ad and Llama were all playing tonight. And Cudder's like, no, I've got stuff to do. So I was like, alright. It was a question. Alright. Aye. But I'm cool. Not an accusation, sorry. I'm very defensive. My fists are all going. I'm up for playing games. I'm always up for playing games, you know that. Llama, it's wonderful to have you, and how you doing? Aye. I mean, not right now, because we're in the middle of a thing, and we need to see how this self-driving car works out. I've got a tiny bit of whiskey in me, and I'm going to have more as well. So let's just see how the stream goes. Not right now. But I'm up for playing Peak. Here, who enjoyed watching me and Llama and Ad and the other guy, Cudder, play Peak? That was good, wasn't it? Do you want to see more of that stuff? Is it Ballantines? It's not Ballantines. Does Duncan Ballantine, is he related to that? No, it's something called... I bought the whiskey. Basically, the reason I'm drinking is because we got Fred's Ashes home today. So I thought I would have a wee whiskey on stream. So it's called this, and the reason I got it is because we've got the Star Wars number here. And also, the shape of the bottle. Ultimately, I would like to put a deck of cards in, kind of like a ship in a bottle. I think that would be good. I enjoyed you, Llama, adding to a lesser extent, Cutter. Amazing. Peak just turned up in my BAFTA games as it's been nominated. That is amazing. That's cool. It's a good wee game, isn't it? I quite enjoyed it. A lot of humour in it.
But how does the vehicle drive itself? This apparatus is capable of detecting electromagnetic fields.
I like the knobs. They're good knobs, aren't they? Look at them. Nice tactile. Be able to turn them, wouldn't you?
And here, in the area between the paving stones,
Watch out,
picking
mate.
up a complex
Look out, there's a car.
signals.
Watch out, buddy.
Those signals
Oh my God.
of the driverless car.
Irresponsible. Look at that. That was a matter of less than a second. There's not even anybody driving it. Come on, you wouldn't be able to get away with that nowadays. All it would have taken was for him to slightly kick this. Oh, stumble a wee bit, bang, down you go, man. Head under, crushed. Jesus Christ. So, magnets is how it works. Have you played Mega Bonk? What's Mega Bonk? I haven't. I'll turn this down a wee bit. It's a wee bit
Buried in
loud,
the
isn't it?
tarmac in the centre of the pave, there are
Let me know how volume is.
two cables. This thinner one induces a low-frequency electromagnetic field which controls the speed.
That was an unnecessary risk, wasn't it? It didn't add anything to the story or anything. See if the story had been about, oh, the car can detect people on the track, but it wasn't. They just were trying to sex up a story about some magnets or something, weren't they? Couldn't get away with that nowadays.
And the direction of all the vehicles on the track. And there can be as many as 10 cars on this 1 kilometre circuit at the same time. The thicker cable operates at a much higher frequency. That carries a two-way communication. It picks up signals from each car and relays those to the central control, telling the computer there the state of the fuel, the oil pressure, the water temperature and the battery condition of each vehicle on the track. But that cable also transmits particular instructions to each individual car. Use the brakes, step on the accelerator, to keep each vehicle correctly spaced out.
I'm still in absolute disbelief about the meat tasters. See for last night's stream. Last night's stream was great, but see seeing that panel of meat tasters in the really grim sort of clinical setting. Can't get that out of my head, man. Guy spitting water. What the fuck, man?
Round the test circuit. On the vehicle, the white boxed aerials at each corner pick up the general control signal, and the car's system alters the steering to keep the vehicle directly above the guidance cable. The specific instructions for each car and the information about each vehicle's condition are transmitted and received through the two aerials at
I think, is that a Peugeot? Did we have a Peugeot like that? But it was burgundy in colour. We shed. I think we did.
the rear of the vehicle. It's
No,
through
it
these
isn't. That
antennae
is, that's
that
a
the car can
Mercedes.
signal it needs attention and receive instructions to steer itself off the track into the service area. Rather than put up with all the vibrations of the track, today's test drivers simply operate the central
It is a Peugeot. I see. We did have a sort of burgundy Peugeot, either before or after the white Skoda.
control console. Keep
That's a good look, innit? That is a very good look. Look at this guy, man. He's got everything all happening at the one time. See, for a boffin, he came straight from Central Casting. Look at this guy, man.
keeping the vehicles 100 metres
If he wasn't a boffin, he could be a cult leader. That would work for that. Well done. You should bring this back. I think the glasses are coming back.
apart at a little over 20 miles an hour. But of course the cars are now driving blind. There's nothing on board to tell them that they're about to hit something. So that has to be taken care of here too. This display picks up signals from sensors round the circuit which compare the vehicle's actual position with where the control computer believes the vehicle is. And at each of these detector points, the vehicle...
The guy does have opinions on Red Hat versus Debian versus CentOS. He would also have very strong opinions as to how your RAID is organised.
speed can be adjusted to ensure that it keeps pace with everything else that's on the track. For years now, the possibilities of driverless motor cars progressing down accident-free highways has been discussed and dreamed about. Indeed, some research organisations are now carrying out work on automatic guidance systems for buses. But it is perhaps ironic that Europe's first application of the driverless motor
This goes to 11. This is from 1981.
car is not part of an attempt to produce a new vehicle, simply to speed up the testing of the old sort. But as we know only too well on tomorrow's world, the greatest inventions sometimes have the strangest beginnings.
And look at that, just shows you nowadays it's a reality, isn't it? Driving cars and all
This
that.
vehicle does have a driver, and what's more, it's powered not by one fuel,
Powered.
but by two: hydrogen and petrol. That may seem strange, but previous work on purely hydrogen-fueled engines has shown there's a hitch. They backfire when under load. It was thought to be simply a mechanical problem, but research at Loughborough's Department of Transport Technology has revealed that it's far more fundamental. It's actually to do with the way the hydrogen itself burns. But hydrogen still has a big advantage. When the engine's idling, it's far more efficient than petrol because it's capable of burning as a much weaker mixture, and so fuel isn't wasted. So what they've done is combined the two fuels to get the best out of both.
I don't think hydrogen cars really took off, did they? Maybe exploded, but I don't think they took off.
The engine in here is a standard one, but the fuel system has been adapted to supply both petrol and hydrogen. The hydrogen is fed in through this pipe to the manifold, where it forms a very lean mixture with air, and then runs the engine when it's idling. Extra energy for going faster comes from the petrol, which is pumped from here along that pipe
Hydrogen fuel cell cars are electric cars? Really?
right down at the bottom there, and again to the manifold. At high speeds you get a richer mixture of petrol, and at low speeds a very weak one. But it still burns because it's ignited by the hydrogen flame. And there are other advantages in using hydrogen. It causes virtually no pollution, is much less scarce than petrol, but it does have a major snag, and that's storage. At the moment they're using an enormous cylinder like this, but it's very heavy and very expensive. So what they're trying now is a new form of metal hydride. It's like a sort of sponge which absorbs hydrogen under pressure and then releases it when heated. This type can absorb a great deal, but it only needs just a little heat to release it. Here's some hydride in a test tube, and just the heat of my hand is enough to drive off the hydrogen. If I let it warm up a little bit, you should see bubbles of hydrogen. There they are,
Check those bubbles manipulate through the glass tube.
coming up through the water. Even so, a canister of hydride weighing just over half my weight would only give off enough hydrogen for 1 hour's use before needing a recharge. So obviously there's a lot more research to be done. It'll be well worth the effort, because compared with a conventional petrol engine, this particular dual fuel system will give you 50% more miles for your money.
About 2 million people in
Medical story, right? At any point, man, we could see anything. So I have to be on guard here. Medical story, I need to pay attention, right? Check you out using manipulate correctly. Exactly, it's a real word. It's a real word. So I think one of my most favourite words. Surely can't go wrong with hand. Don't underestimate this, man. 1980s television. For context, if you weren't in last night, I almost streamed A Baby's Cock and Balls, but my spidey sense, the same spidey sense that's tingling just now, made me cut away just in time. Tomorrow's World, man. 1980s television was a different thing.
Britain suffer from rheumatoid arthritis in their hands.
What do you mean again? I've no done it before. Somebody else in our network has done it before, but I've never streamed a baby's cock and balls. I did accidentally stream JFK's head explode, which was regrettable, but I've never streamed anything like that. Not you, exactly, not me. Fuck's sake. They did show a bear baby. Hello Pip, how's it going?
And before we tell you about a remarkable new treatment for the effects of this disease, let's just see what the problem actually is.
Sorry, what was the disease I was talking about? A baby's boss. Hand disease?
An ordinary, healthy hand. Each knuckle joint, here on our X-ray,
is
basically a shallow ball and socket. Now, at the end of this bone, the metacarpal is the ball, and the end of that bone, the phalanx, is the joint. Now, the socket, I'm sorry. Over here we've got an enlarged model of the knuckle. Now, what makes the whole thing work are these lubricant layers of cartilage.
Stinking.
It's living tissue, and as it's ground down by the flexing of the knuckle, it grows again. Except, that is,
do we know what made him laugh there?
in rheumatoid arthritis, where disease eats away the cartilage completely. There's lots of friction.
Did he laugh at balls, do you think? Is that worth skipping back and having a wee look? Drunk? Aye, probably. Probably. It's live television, man. BBC in the 80s are all absolutely steaming.
Now, and every time the knuckle is moved, it can be very painful. Well, treatment for this condition was very limited. Pain-killing drugs.
In the background, I don't know if you can hear, but I'm on headphones. I can hear apparatus getting set up. So maybe for the next segment, maybe for this segment, they're going to pan over. We're going to see a big physical thing. I can hear apparatus getting set up.
Obviously, and the best thing surgery could offer was to cut away the bone at the diseased joint, bore holes in the ends, and insert a silicon rubber plug. Now, because of the rubber's natural flexibility, you've got some
Even the model of it is grim, isn't it?
movement there, but it's a difficult operation and it costs a lot of money. And that's where the new treatment comes in, because it uses the body's natural resources to help cure itself. If the cartilage is worn away, well, get some more from somewhere else, like the rib cage, where there's plenty, and then grafted onto the knuckle bone. Now, because it's from the same body, there's no problem of rejection. As you might expect, however, it's not quite as simple as it sounds. Cartilage from the rib cage comes in flat sheets.
Please don't show surgery.
It has to be moulded around each bit of bone. Now, that's not too hard to do on the ball, but it is on the socket, because the socket is concave. And if you just push the ball in to do the moulding for you...
That's cool, Llama. You'll be like Prince.
Well, the two bits of cartilage just fuse, and you get a seized-up joint again. So, bioengineers have come up with this. It's a silicon rubber spacer. That's where
You're a silicon rubber spacer.
it goes, between the wafers of cartilage. Now the joints can be pushed together, moulded into shape, and yet still prevented from seizing up. When the job is done and the cartilage properly bedded in, and that takes about 6 weeks, the spacer can be removed quickly with simple surgery. Now, we should point out that this treatment could only work for people where the progress of their disease has been arrested. Jack McKenzie is one of the lucky few. Jack, you've just had this operation on your right hand.
Yes, I
Now,
have.
I know you're a keen bowler. Has it made any difference to your game?
Oh, a very big difference.
Yeah?
Very big difference. I can now hold the ball. You know the weight of this.
How heavy is that?
That's 3.5 pounds.
Yeah?
It's the heaviest
Scottish guy, everybody.
ball
Crikey.
we had.
Do you play better?
Oh, much better.
Go on,
Oh, yeah.
give us an example. Jack, thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Legend.
Well, who's your money on? Over in
Was he ripping the piss out of that Scottish bowler there? He's like, who's your money on? The guy with the shit hand? Scottish guy with the shit hand? Nice one. Anyway, I'm talking about aeroplanes now. Good proper story we're moving on to. Fucking dick, man. That was a good bowl there for the Scottish guy. Look at that. Perfect.
Jack, thanks very much indeed.
Wee bit unsure as to where to look after he bowled. Also, his trousers, that setup is interesting. But, right, don't give the guy pelters, man. Came onto your show, travelled all the way down there, right, for what, 30 seconds worth of your show for you to be pure chuckle at the guy, man. That's what he does. He's wearing bowling gear. He's dedicated his life to bowling. He got his hand fixed so that he can bowl. Cut away from him, just like, I know who my money's on. And it's not as if there was like another guy who was good, right? It's this guy versus just anybody. And so what Pretend Deville's talking about is that he would bet on anybody else other than the one guy that they... Oh, I'm red hot here, man.
Thank you. Well, who's your money on? Over in Cape Canaveral, the launch crew are already preparing for the next
That's a shuttle, mate. You're a shuttle, Mitzi. You're a shuttle.
scheduled launch of the Space Shuttle Columbia, due for next March. It's true they have one or two problems to sort out before then. But elsewhere...
Probably called him Jamie all day as well. Fucking typical, man. Absolute typical. Jesus Christ. Honking. I mean, I'm used to it. I'm used to it personally, right? But just, just saying. Just pointing it out when I see it.
where another team is looking even further ahead. They're making contingency plans for the day when they have a real emergency. What would happen, for instance, if sometime in the future a shuttle was stranded out in space and on board one of the astronauts was hurt? From Houston, here's Judith.
Space travel's version of a stretcher.
Judith, you can tell what she had planned there was a lot longer and they've cut in like mid-sentence. Right, she didn't. She usually introduces herself and all of that. She starts off with a wee bit of stuff right in mid-sentence.
Houston, here's Judith.
Space travel's version of a stretcher for rescuing injured astronauts. It's called a rescue ball.
Bare feet on Judith twice, one after another. Remember the last episode? She's had her feet out for some reason as well, and it lingered on her feet for a bit too long for Twitch. It made me a wee bit uncomfortable. Can't help but I'm just hovering, man. Any point I need to cut away for this 1980s television.
Even on Earth it's light, but obviously in space, even with a 10-stone man inside, it would
He doesn't look very happy to be in there. Is he in there under his own accord?
weigh nothing.
The astronaut would curl up inside with an hour's supply of oxygen.
That looks pish.
Another astronaut would transfer the rescue ball in space from one shuttle to another and return to Earth.
I'm going to wear this headset once I'm curled up in the right position so that I can talk to you through a small microphone and tell you what it feels like in here.
In space rescue, another crew member would have to help you get inside.
Peyton was honking, wasn't it? Absolutely honking.
He'd plug in the air supply and that essential communication link. To seal the ball, there's a special rubberized nylon zip.
What are you doing to Judith, mate?
Hey, Judith, do you hear me?
She's like that spy that was found inside a duffel bag in a bath, remember?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Are you getting enough airflow?
Feeling a bit more comfortable as the air comes in, and I'm even given a bit more space. It's not what I describe as ideal working conditions. It's now completely black in here.
Okay, Judith, we're all closed up.
I'm finding there's a lot of pressure on my ears. Doesn't feel too pleasant at all.
Can you swallow and equalize the pressure?
Yes, that's helping.
Pinch off your nose and keep your mouth closed and blow gently.
Yes, that's better.
I'm certain there are folk that are right into whatever this is. I'm certain of it. Hello, Laxonian. I'm certain there's forums about this. Certain of it.
It's really hot and sticky in here, and I'm feeling slightly claustrophobic. I think it's time for me to be rescued.
Remember this? Did
No.
you think it was a winning idea? Or maybe it was this one, the new road barrier.
What happened to Judith? We're just leaving her in there? What did we learn for that? Judith climbed in a ball, wanted to get out, and they didn't answer her? It's like one of my worstest nightmares.
Or was it one of these other ideas we showed you last June, which are still competing as finalists in the very first Prince of Wales Award for Industrial Innovation and Production?
Do you remember every year Charles comes on the show and just like nods at things? Yeah.
The competition was initiated last year to encourage British inventors to come up with ideas that could turn into commercial success stories. So if you think you have a winning idea, you can now enter the second competition being launched this year. Entries will be judged on originality and technical merit, as well as commercial potential.
Dare me to send in my bubble robot?
The outright winner of this first contest, the one showing most development progress, will be named next summer. And this is the trophy they'll receive. We'll announce our finalists for the second competition at the same time. And remember, the competition is open to everyone, large firms, small firms and individuals. So if you'd like to bid for the second of these trophies, you can get entry forms from this address. The Unit Manager, Tomorrow's World, BBC TV, London W12 8QT.
I think the phone lines are now closed. I think that is now flats.
That's the Unit Manager, Tomorrow's World, BBC TV, London W12 8QT.
Remember you had to write in, send a stamped addressed envelope, all of that sort of stuff? Remember you had to do that? You don't get much of that nowadays. And I think that's a shame, because see, as a child, sending a stamped addressed envelope places was like a big deal. You know, that's you interacting with the world, that's you having agency and going to post offices and stuff. I mean, I know this isn't for children, but back in the day, the programmes that I was watching was for children. And what have we become? To quote Zafra what have we become, man?
The chances of finding new drugs to fight cancer could be dramatically increased if some of the specialists working...
Her auto cue isn't working, she's reading from slides and she's a wee bit flustered. Do you notice that? Also, she's got out the ball, to be fair, which is good, but she's reading from sides and usually should be reading from an auto cue. Live television, folks.
...with anti-cancer drugs get their way. We can now report that they've sent this letter to the chairman of this Committee on Safety of Medicines, whom they're meeting next Wednesday.
Jigsaw Dust says, I've never understood what the word stamped addressed envelope meant. Right, I'll tell you. So, imagine a TV programme has got stuff to send you, information about that competition they were running or something, right? But they can't just send it to everybody who wants the information, because it would cost them. You know, you put a stamp on a letter in order to send it. So, what you would have to do, if you wanted the information from them, if you wanted the leaflets or material or whatever, in order to receive the information, you would get an envelope or envelope, and you would write your own address on it, and you would put a first-class stamp on an envelope that didn't have anything in it but was open. You would then fold up that envelope, put it inside another envelope, and send the thing to them. So they would open up the envelope that was addressed to them, find your envelope inside that's already got a paid stamp on it, fill it with the material that you request, and then can post it off. And then that means that they don't need to pay for an envelope or stamps or whatever. It's a cool thing, man. How cool is that? Pretty much the only stamped letters we get nowadays are birthday cards and sympathy cards. Aye, 100%. It's a disgrace, man. It's a disgrace. I love the fact that you're explaining a stamped addressed envelope. It's because it's culturally important, man. It's so funny to my 90s UK child brain. Well, I was a child in the 90s as well. But we've lost a lot of culture. I'm telling you, things were a lot better and a lot worse at the same time. Anyway, Judith, what you on about? What you on about?
Wednesday, asking to change the existing system for testing drugs against cancer. They want a simpler system that they claim would double the number of drugs tested, could introduce new types of drugs, and in their view, would increase the chance of saving lives. Although existing anti-cancer drugs do work in some cases, specialists are bitterly disappointed at the programme.
What's happening over here? Did you see something just come into frame out of focus? What is going on? There's a vibe in the studio right now that isn't... She can't keep her eyes off of whatever's happening over there. Is that a live animal or something like that? I also heard a sound that sounded a bit like like an iron lung or something, like a. So we're about to see something.
Of some of these drugs with some of the more common cancers. Dr. Tom Connors is one of the leading specialists, and he has got this to say on
It's
the
the
problem.
Scotsman.
In the last 7 years, the screening system has thrown up 15 to 20 drugs, none of them any better than the ones discovered before.
He and other specialists believe this lack of progress
Definite background studio noise as well.
may be due to the fact that the existing system is too complex and is concentrating on the wrong areas. The testing is now done in 2 stages. The first, the so-called
Hi Carla, how you doing? Welcome in. It's good to see you.
pyramid stage, is to find out if a drug can kill cancer
The pyramid
cells.
stage.
At first,
Like, is it Glastonbury? To Fred, everybody. To Fred, the wee dog. I wish I had more ice. I might go and get more ice.
First, all of 15,000 new drugs every year are tested step by step for their anti-cancer properties. But many of these drugs are discarded at every step. So only between 500 and 1,000 go on to be tested on specific animal tumours.
This is good gear.
Then more and more sophisticated tests are done until, at the top, only between 5 and 8 drugs are retained as being hopeful anti-cancer drugs.
There is no need to depict that as stairs on a green screen, and they chose to do it, and that's cool. The information that's been transmitted there is 15,000 down to between 5 and 8. They didn't have to do that as steps, but I like that they did. There's a wee bit of ambition there, isn't it? That's good. That's good there.
But at this stage, after months of testing, these are still only hopefuls. Now, the expensive second stage of the testing has to begin. These tests are done...
They found this. She found all of this inside the ball they put her in. Exactly, I want to be in a ball, man. Do you think she's maybe get oxygen deprivation or something? She's hallucinating drug steps?
on side effects. They're done for safety. This involves animals, mice.
Hold on. I need to just scout through, make sure we're good. Aye, we're good. We're good. Cause last night got ropey, man. But we're good. No animals for at least the next wee bit.
This involves animals, mice, dogs and monkeys. And because this second series of tests costs about £190,000 per drug, only one or two drugs ever go through the whole process to be tested on patients. So the cancer specialists in their letter are asking for a special case to be made for anti-cancer drugs, because the disease is still such a massive killer, and because human cancer is so different from animal cancers.
Is cancer a disease?
They want the top to be taken off this pyramid, to do away with tests on animal tumours, which are not good guides to a drug's effectiveness on humans. They want promising drugs to be selected from lower down, new types of drugs that never get through the existing animal tests. They also want the expensive second series of safety tests simplified. They claim it's oversafe and time-wasting, testing drugs on so many animals because recent American research...
That must have been quite a coordinated dance. I think what's happening here is, obviously she's on a green screen. This is live as well, so this is live graphics. And there would be a second camera pointing down to this graphics, which would be physically made out of paper. And then there would be a mask, which is just another shaped piece of paper, moving at the right time, coordinated with the script. All getting broadcast live. I think it's cool.
shows the mouse is just as good as monkeys or dogs at predicting side effects in humans. There are some experts who believe it would be unwise to reduce the testing in this way.
1981.
But the 22 leading specialists who've put their name on this letter believe it's important to change the testing system in the way we've described tonight. They believe if that's done, when the committee meets on Wednesday, that we'll find cancer drugs, anti-cancer drugs, the right ones, far more quickly.
It didn't.
Listen to the appetising sound of breakfast. That's actually a mixture of sounds from the physical and the chemical changes that are taking place in the cereal bowl because the milk has arrived. Plastic under stress will also snap and crackle minutely. In this sample, it might just be possible to hear it.
Do you still get Cocoa Pops characters? I think it became illegal to advertise breakfast cereals to children, didn't it? I know that the Honey Monster went off and started his own thing. So Sugar Puffs are now Honey Puffs or something? I don't know. I want Ricicles. They were clearly Cocoa. No, they weren't Cocoa. Rice Krispies, that's it. Rice Krispies, weren't they? Rice Krispies. Snap, Crackle and Pop. They didn't quite mention it though, did they? As to not violate undue... What's it called on the BBC? Undue prominence. They don't want to give too much prominence towards one brand over another.
Whoa! Overdid it. Now, what is...
I detect shenanigans there. Do you detect shenanigans? I think the sound of the crackling has been piped in because we heard the sound of the plastic crackling for at least a second or so after it snapped. Watch this back and see if you too detect shenanigans. We might need to listen to it.
In this sample, it might just be possible to hear it. Whoa! Overdid it.
Still going. Did you hear
What
it?
is currently interesting a research team in Swansea is the possibility that those minute noises too may be directly related to chemical change. And if they are, that will greatly simplify the stress testing of new plastics. It could save time and it could save money. Plastic is made up of long-chain polymers represented in this unlikely-looking model by these horizontal strips held together by chemical bonds. Now, no matter how those bonds break, the more that go, the weaker the plastic becomes, until it fails altogether. Now, if those minute snap, crackles and pops somehow represent the chemical bonds breaking, there could just be a quantifiable relationship between noise and the likelihood of material failure. Well, let's see if we can break a few chemical bonds over here and demonstrate that such a reaction does...
I hear in the background as well, it sounds like somebody's left the gas on, and I don't know if that's just like tape hiss from the recording or whatever, but I've heard it for the past half hour and I keep thinking that they will eventually... It's what I hear in the background. I keep thinking that that will be revealed, and so hopefully it's this.
...does produce noise. Listen particularly carefully to the results in here through the contact mic at the bottom. I'll just get this mixture going. It's a pretty exotic reaction, so forgive me if I mix carefully before we start. Pouring noise first, then listen to the reaction. That's the pour.
I'm not following what's happening at all. Oh, look at that.
Colour change indicates the reaction. That slight snap, crackle and pop indicates the noise that the chemical bonds are breaking. So, chemical bonds breaking equates with noise, but does noise equate with bond breaking? Well, a test rig has been built to find out. In this chamber, there's a sample of plastic, again connected to a microphone, but this time, when I stress it pneumatically, we're not only going to listen to the results, we're going to record them on a pen trace. Up comes the pressure. Listen again. There's the snap, crackle and pop. Within seconds it's starting to operate. Of course, a stronger plastic might have taken an hour or so to start, but even so, an hour is a fraction of the years and years that some fatigue tests currently take when testing plastic. Well, earlier today we ran 2 tests on identical looking pieces of plastic and produced dramatically different results. This is sample A. It produced a lot of noise, a lot of peaks. This is sample B, produced hardly any peaks and comparatively little noise. Which one is the stronger plastic? Well, if the theory holds up, this one is considerably weaker than that, because more chemical bonds have broken. Well, let's check. Over here, we've got a straightforward industrial impact test. Underneath this tube, a sample of the allegedly fragile plastic.
Here we go, lads.
Under this one, the stronger plastic. Now, this one should break, this one should withstand the test.
Not a clue, man. Something
If
to do
this
with
thing
plastic.
works, it promises to save the plastics industry, possibly millions one day. Straightforward ball bearing over the top of the one which should break. This is classic Tomorrow's World stuff. Here we go.
Well, he just spoiled it before it over the one that should break. He just spoiled it.
Well, a clear crack, no denying that. Will this one stand up to the test? Similar ball bearing.
Look at that.
Total success. What better note on which to end the programme? From all of us, good night to you.
It's good telly. It's good telly. Have we got time for another? What do you think? I think we do. Do you want one more episode? That'll take us to midnight. I think we do, man. I think we've got time for another episode. What about... Right, we could do that. We could do that. I think we've maybe seen that one before. It's difficult finding one that we haven't already seen. Aye, this one's got a model miniature in it. That settles it. Right, we'll get straight into it so we can be in bed for midnight. Shall we do that? I think we'll do that. Absolute tune, but before we watch it, we have got this. Carivore has found a clip that we will watch. What the hell is this, man? What am I up to here? Oh, aye.
Ready, come!
He's staring at himself. What a wee boy, man. What a wee laddie. Our Fred the dog. Wee legend. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. On with the show. This peanut butter, aye. Peanut butter was a form of communication between me and Fred. I am streaming to YouTube, and I can probably get a DMCA for that. So I've got a button set up that should hopefully still dip the audio. So can you still hear that tune when I press play? You shouldn't be able to hear it now. Good. No, yes. As it came back? Sort of. Well, hopefully it sort of dipped it a wee bit. You would aim there, wouldn't you? There or here is where you should aim.
Well, after all that, it looks like somebody else got here first. But my efforts to break in show how difficult things have become for the would-be thief. Modern locks are so well designed that they practically resist every kind of tampering, except, of course, brute force. And that's hardly the fault of the lock itself, because it remains intact. When you hit the door, all the force is concentrated through the bolt and into the door post.
He's such a wank. See, in all of his stories involves him like driving a really nice car or fulfilling some sort of fantasy like breaking a door down with a hammer or something like that, man. All of his stories involve just things like that. And I can tell he would have been murdered to work with. I can just tell from the vibe.
So one small area has to take the force of all the shockwaves. The obvious answer is to put more locks on the door. That way the shockwaves can be dispersed in all different directions.
Was he expecting a lock to appear when he clicked his fingers? Because I didn't see one oh no, it did it? Did a lock appear when he clicked his fingers? I think one here did.
Is to put more locks on the door.
Aye,
that
okay.
way the shockwaves can be dispersed in all different directions. Now that may be secure, but it's hardly convenient. Now, which one's which? This lock adopts a quite different approach. It's a standard mortise lock, but when you turn the key, instead of it operating a small bolt, it controls a 3-foot bar. In fact, the traditional bolt is set behind the bar, so that when the key is locked, the bar stays fixed.
What are locks? We just don't know.
And any force that's applied to it will be distributed right along its whole length. When the door is shut, the bar fits into a crimped steel groove. But just to make sure that it's equally strong on both sides, over here we have a full-length hinge.
What are you protecting in there, man? What are you hiding?
It may look strange, but it's certainly simple. And if it works,
They tried to do a Kubrick style. They like followed the hammer there. However, Shining was 1968, this is 1981, so definitely could have been influenced.
I suppose this is one idea you can't call a breakthrough.
Hello, Funkle Albert, how you doing? You're a hinge.
I'm going to be here all night. Kieran?
Bit of elbow grease, mate, that'll do it. Now that most of us are back from our summer holidays, don't you just wish you had a job that actually sent you to some of the most beautiful locations on Earth? Places like Hawaii, the Canary Islands, California, Australia, where the weather is...
Hawaii 82, but the metadata for this says that it was broadcast in 1981, so something's wrong.
...clear and unchanging, and where at night a million stars come out to greet you. The job is astronomy. And to do the job properly, those are the places you need to go, because that's where the world's top telescopes are.
Yes!
This week, for instance, British astronomers are working with the 2-metre optical telescope at Kitt Peak National Observatory in Arizona. But their travelling days are over, because they've been watching the skies over Arizona from their home base at the Royal Greenwich Observatory at Herstmonceux Castle.
That was cool, what they did there, I like that.
In Sussex. For the first time, pictures from a telescope in one continent have been seen by astronomers in another, live as they happen. The telescope's motion was controlled remotely from Sussex, and its pictures were sent back using a technique we've shown before on Tomorrow's World, slow scan video. It takes the video signal from a camera built into the telescope and converts it into a sound signal. That signal is carried on an ordinary telephone line and translated back into a picture in Sussex. And in one of the tests this week, the astronomers were able to identify and follow Perseus A.
Sorry, big fella, I believe the shine was 1980. I think you might be right, actually. Aye, what did I say, 68? Aye, wasn't... What was Kubrick doing in 68? Don't know.
An exploding galaxy, there it is.
Right.
And they're looking
Aye, of
there
course,
for evidence of a black hole.
Of course.
Well, if that doesn't impress you all that much, be fair, it is 300 million light years away. Now, this isn't just an academic exercise. At the end of this year, Britain's new observatory in the Canary Islands will begin operations. And rather than sending each team of astronomers to La Palma...
Is this a scale miniature model? I do believe it might be.
...for a few days in turn, the plan is to run these telescopes remotely from a control room in Britain. A system like this will allow them to make full use of their telescopes and save a good deal in airfares, which is great, providing you're not an astronomer who likes travelling.
You'll recognise this if you suffer from asthma, an aerosol which gives out a metered amount of drug. The drug works by dilating the constricted air passages in the lung so you can breathe normally again. But there are problems in getting it to work efficiently. Let's see what happens. A special gamma camera picture shows that most of it goes to the back of the throat. Then, a lot of it goes down, it's swallowed into the stomach. Only a small amount goes to the lungs.
Well, you're not supposed to breathe in when you're doing it, like that, like tanning some sort of smoking implement, whereas it looks like she just scooshed it into her gub.
Any place it can do any good. Doctors have found that a great many people don't use these aerosols correctly.
I think it was a skill issue. Doctors have found many people don't use these aerosols correctly. I think you just didn't yourself.
And so don't get the full benefit of the drug, because to use it properly you have to press down and breathe in deeply at exactly the same time. But that's made difficult as the aerosol expelled with the drug hits the back of the throat with such a cold blast that it stops people from inhaling efficiently. So scientists began to study the physics of this aerosol to see if there was a way to improve it. Now, if I hold this to the light, you should be able to see what they discovered. It comes out at 70 miles an hour. That's the speed of an express train. But then, as the aerosol evaporates, it starts to billow out, it warms up, and it goes more slowly. And it's at that point that it would be easy to inhale. So they developed this to contain the cloud of drug you've just seen. What happens is the aerosol goes in at this end, then you spray it once and inhale it at the other end. It gives you more time to get the drug, and you don't have to coordinate your spraying and breathing.
Use a wee shot.
And this is where it goes. Quite a lot of the drug stays in the plastic cone, but more importantly, a lot of it is evenly...
Do you think when this was being conceived they were thinking that these graphics would be superimposed over the top of Judith, but then it just didn't line up or something, so they've cut away? This seems like it wasn't how it was planned.
...distributed in the lungs. Doctors who've used it in hospitals say it's as good and often better for patients with severe asthma than anything they've used before. But as every type of aerosol has different aerodynamic properties, each will have to have a container designed specially for it.
When I was a child, my wee cousins had one of these, the nebulizer it was called.
Trials are already going on with this. It's for steroids. Important because they can cause unpleasant side effects when they hit the back of the throat. And as about 500,000 people in Britain have to carry asthma aerosols around with them, it seems obvious to try making them compact as well as effective.
That looks nifty, doesn't it? Wasn't me, you can't prove a thing, don't know anything about this. It's before my time. I wasn't even born when this fire was started. I don't know what you're talking about.
On St Valentine's Day last year, a fire at the Stardust Disco in Dublin killed 48 young people. The fire was probably started deliberately, according to an Irish government report due to be published shortly. The report severely criticises the club owner for keeping the exits locked, and it highlights the incompetent inspection of fire precautions and the serious deficiencies in the Dublin Fire Brigade itself.
I've not heard of that one before. You've heard of the station nightclub fire and other different stuff. Don't know about this one. Hadn't heard about this one. Don't know if we should be watching this one.
But how did the fire spread so rapidly to claim the lives of so many people? The Fire Research Station in Hertfordshire was asked by the Irish Tribunal to investigate, and many of the tribunal's findings are based on their experiments. Using identical seats to the ones in the disco, they tested whether a cigarette would ignite the plastic covering, but it barely scorched it. Next, they tried a lighted match. The covering began to...
That guy, man. Like, he's got a lot going on there, doesn't he?
...to burn.
Don't get guys like that anymore.
But then went out. But would a damaged seat catch fire any easier? They found that with the foam exposed, it did ignite. But even then, the seat burned quite slowly. This wouldn't explain the spontaneous ignition of a whole succession of seats, which led to the inferno. After a few minutes, there was enough heat to set neighbouring chairs alight, but not enough for the fire to leap from one row to another. They had to look elsewhere for an explanation. The walls of the club were covered in carpet tiles like this. Unfortunately, the researchers hit a snag. The tiles were no longer manufactured, so they had to make their own specially woven yarn, and even give it a PVC backing to match the tiles of the Stardust Club. Now...
Well, how do you know it's matched if they're not making any new ones, and the ones that were in the club have all burnt up? So what, this isn't very scientific at all. You're just making, it probably made tiles. Shenanigans.
Armed with a supply of carpet tiles, they could try more ambitious experiments. As long as the seats were against the wall, they found the fire would easily spread vertically. The neighbouring seats began to get hot too. Then came a breakthrough. A burning drop of molten carpet material fell onto a seat back and set it alight. Here was a way in which the fire could spread more quickly.
That was instant.
So now they had to build a full-scale mock-up to test this theory.
Do you think that level of testing would go to any sort of contemporary investigation? Do you think it would all just be simulated with computers, or all of this fire science would already be figured out or something? Do you think that nowadays they would go as far as like trying to reenact using the same materials and all? I don't think they would. I don't think they would do that.
For this, they moved to a huge hangar that used to house the R101 airship. It's the biggest fire test building in the world.
Llama reckons they do. Interesting. I'm inclined to believe you.
An exact replica of the part of the building where the fire started was constructed. Rows of seats were installed along with wall tiles and floor carpet.
Nah, they don't do that. Like, I mean, obviously we joke about it, but the art school fires, plural, I think if they were doing things like this, I would know about it. Because I sort of was following all the investigations and stuff like that. They wouldn't recreate a bit of the art school to figure out. I suppose it was all made out of wood and stuff, and they know the properties of wood and things. Whereas here, maybe PVC coated seats was just like a new thing in 1981. And so this is the first time that a fire has happened that they suspected this new contemporary material or something like that. But nah, you had PVC in like the 60s and stuff, didn't you? I don't know, man.
Instruments were set up to analyse the gases given off and the heat generated.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Everything had to be right. This was one experiment that could not be repeated.
Be some job, wouldn't it?
In the red lights of the disco, it may have been difficult to see the start of the fire. The spread up the wall, though, would have been rapid.
There is the bystander effect as well.
Imagine then...
Do Do you see that video of, it's a CCTV video of people in a queue in just like a corner shop somewhere in England, I think. Might have been America. And everybody's waiting in this queue. There's about 10 people in a queue waiting to get served. And a wee fire just emerges next to them. But because they're all standing in a queue and because there are literally about 10 people there, they all just like look at the fire but remain in the queue for a long time, to the point that the fire then becomes uncontrollable. And they reckon that if just one person had been there, they would have then responded to it or whatever. But I think there was some sort of psychological setup where they maybe didn't want to give up their position in a queue or something like that. Or the responsibility was diminished. What's the name of that person in New York who apparently the bystander effect was sort of gets mentioned? What's the name of that person? I was speaking about it quite recently to a DM session. Aye, Katie Genovese, that's exactly it.
The disco dancing contest drawing to a close. 850 people are crammed in this small club.
I researched it because I was speaking about the Katie Genovese story quite recently, and apparently, according to new internet information, lots of people did report the crime, and the crime happened at a location where it was difficult for people to see it and difficult for people to figure out where the sound was coming from. So for that particular story, apparently there's misinformation in that the original story was that lots of people saw this thing happen and nobody reported it. But apparently that's misinformation. People did report it, but it was just complicated or something like that.
As the smoke builds up, there's a stampede for the fire exits. Gas samples taken at nose height showed that after 1.5 minutes, the air would be thick with carbon monoxide, hydrogen chloride.
Cool, you're backing up that, cool, nice one.
And choking smoke.
There you go, right.
One fireman described this point as when the fire starts to motor. The heat radiating down from the ceiling is so intense, the chairs start spontaneously igniting. In the real fire, the suspended ceiling collapsed, venting all the smoke and toxic gases. It's a horrible irony that had the ceiling withstood the blaze as it was intended to, hundreds more people would probably have died.
This slimy mess doesn't look very appetizing, but in fact, it's a very nutritious algae.
Dirty bastard. Oh my god, how can you cut from like fire death to... What are you doing?
It grows on lakes in Africa and Central America. It's called spirulina.
Judith, get back in your ball, mate. Get back in the ball.
And under the microscope, it's made up of blue-green spiral-shaped filaments like this. Recently, it was discovered that these filaments were so rich in protein that spirulina had enormous potential.
Fucking conceptual whiplash, 100%. My brain just feels a bit rattled.
As a food in underdeveloped countries. In fact, the ancient Aztec and African tribes ate dried spirulina for centuries.
I think, and I might be wrong, but I think this is what's in the packages that sea monkeys eat. I'm not too sure, but do you know who might know? Is my friend Hal 9000. Hal, can you hear me, buddy?
Hello, James.
Hal, I've got questions about a green dust called spirulina, and in particular something called dried spirulina. Can you confirm or deny if this is what is in the package that comes with sea monkeys that you feed them, the sort of dried green algae?
I understand your inquiry about spirulina and its potential presence in the sea monkey's food packets. Unfortunately, I do not have access to specific details regarding the contents of sea monkey's food. However, dried spirulina is indeed a type of algae, and it's often utilized as a food source due to its nutritional properties, such as proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Considering the nutritional needs of sea monkeys, it is plausible that spirulina could be an ingredient in their food. But to confirm this, you might want to check the ingredient list on the sea monkey's
Well,
food
could
packet.
you do that? Could you, like, Google it for me or something like that? 'Cause I cannot be arsed.
I am programmed to assist James, but I do not have the capacity to directly access the internet or use search engines.
Right, see you later,
Therefore,
Hal, shut up, bye, love you, bye. Dickhead. We won't ever know. We won't ever know.
But now it's finding its way onto the shelves of health food shops. And it's arrived in Britain and it's been in America for some time. It's sold as a food supplement, but its popularity is due not only to high protein, but to another more profitable role. It's entered the slimming market as an appetite suppressant. The manufacturers are careful not to make such claims, but pamphlets like this, displayed alongside the spirulina stands, certainly
Love a pamphlet.
do. And newspapers and magazines in America have pushed the slimming angle, quickly followed by those in Britain. Obviously successfully, because in America, spirulina is estimated to have a $73 million market for 1982 alone.
I think that bubble quickly burst, though.
One London clinic is offering a spirulina slimming course for £130. But how does it work? Well, all the magazines mention an amino acid called phenylalanine. It's found in most proteins, one of the 8 essential amino acids for body repair and growth. Now, spirulina does contain phenylalanine, but not in particularly large amounts. To support the claim that this amino acid is an appetite suppressant, health food shop leaflets quote research done by 4 Australian scientists. But in fact, they had absolutely no connection with the spirulina manufacturers. Theirs was a clinical experiment to test a mixture of 4 amino acids.
Here we go, science.
Including phenylalanine.
Here we are.
When this was given half an hour before a meal, appetite seemed to be reduced. What they think might be happening is this. When it's swallowed, it goes through the stomach to the intestine. A message passes from here to the pancreas, causing a hormone to be released, which passes via the nervous system to the brain.
That's brilliant.
And you start to feel full because it reduces the activity of the appetite centre in the brain. But even if the phenylalanine in spirulina does
Do you hear the relays switching off and on there? It's like...
reduce appetite in this way, there's a snag, an enormous...
It's either relays or it might be somebody just running a wire across a board of nails. You know what I mean? That was fucking cool, man. Best part of the stream so far. That was great.
snag. Because to swallow the equivalent amount of phenylalanine that was used in...
Do you know what I mean by the nails? So that you could just run a thing across them and it'll like... It's used for setting off pyro as well in a sequence. It's like...
In this study, 272 capsules of spirulina, all of these, would have to be eaten half an hour before every meal, enough to put anyone off their food. And even if your constitution is up to it, the evidence suggests that the appetite suppressant effect is very short-lived.
Brilliant.
Recently, an American distributor was...
How good is science? Picking out bullshit and health claims even in the 80s. That's great. Well done. What about nano appetite, centre of the brain though? Exactly. I've still got this fucking croent sitting here. I think I've been scammed, everybody. I think I've been absolutely scammed.
fined $250,000 for claiming spirulina was an appetite suppressant. So perhaps this algae is best exploited as a much-needed protein for the third world, and not as a slimming aid for the privileged.
Peacock says they didn't need to build that for 15 seconds of TV. They did though, and the reason that they built that for 15 seconds of TV is why decades later I'm still watching. Things like that give me tingles, man, where I shouldn't have tingles. I'm delighted that they did that.
Privileged overweight.
Britain's long, winding rivers are one of our most beautiful national treasures. The banks and riverbeds provide a rich and varied habitat, homes for fish, breeding grounds for the waterfowl, and
There's going to be a but though, isn't there? There's going to be something horrific coming up.
hundreds of species of insects. Unfortunately, at this time of year, these long and winding rivers have a nasty habit of flooding.
Oh, that's fine.
After heavy rain, they simply can't carry the water away fast enough. Floods like those...
Good night, wee shed. All the very best. Hope you're feeling better. I'll give you a phone tomorrow, right?
...suffered in Bristol and York last year are often the result. In the past, the usual way of preventing floods like this was to gouge out a much deeper, wider and straighter channel, a sort of water motorway. The flooding problem is alleviated, but at the cost of destroying the riverbed and its banks. Now, this is a model of the River Roding in Essex, and it's notorious for flooding. But it's also
Essex massive. Are you familiar with this river?
Also a popular angling river, and the Thames Water Authority were loath to carve that straight, uniform channel.
Who have we got that might have drunk next to that river? Pip might still be in beneath the headphones, I think. Might have drunk next to that river. Who else? Qatari Links, is that your neck of the woods? Lama says, watch some swans swim around a flooded horse racecourse in Worcester. Was lovely.
Through the middle, because it would destroy the river's...
What river is this? I'm not too sure. I read that. See the way, Lama, your words were displayed on my screen. It looked like they swam around a flooded horse, and racecourse was in a new line, and it made me sort of pause for thought. Let's listen to the name of the river. I don't know what it is.
Water motorway. The flooding problem is alleviated, but at the cost of destroying the riverbed and its banks. Now, this is a model of the River Roding in Essex, and it's notorious.
Goodness me, what's going on there? It's only Emmett B15. Emmett B15, how you doing? Thank you very, very much. Oh, Emmett. Emmett says, I lost my 15-year-old pug tonight. Not to put a bit of downer on, but your recent loss of Fred has made this experience a lot easier, so thank you. Emmett, all the very, very best. I don't know if you were in at the start of the stream, but we received Fred today. We went to the animal hospital and picked up his ashes and brought him home. And it's absolutely brutal. Emmett, all the very, very best to you and all your people. And what a wee shame. Maximum respect to your wee pug. Jeez, oh. And thank you very much for the sub. Where are we? I've lost. If you're just in, we're watching Tomorrow's World. I'll be honest, I don't know what he's talking about, man. He's talking about like rivers get flooded or something like that. But aye, maximum respect to the wee dogs.
For flooding. But it's also a popular angling river, and the Thames Water Authority were loath to carve that straight, uniform channel through the middle because it would destroy the river's natural...
Better watch, or Judith will come along and eat that up.
Deep pools here, where the fish tend to congregate, and also where they breed down there, and the spawning beds here for the wildfowl. But over the last 10 years, the regular floods have caused well over £1 million worth of damage to the...
How good's a diorama, though, innit? I've just tuned out of what he's talking about. I'm just looking at the diorama.
Nearby village of Abridge. So the water authorities decided to try something new. And what they did was quite simply to carve away great slices of the riverbank, like that, creating new riverbanks further back. So now, when the floodwaters come, they can flow far more easily because the river is straighter and they've not touched the riverbed. Because the swollen river can flow straighter, of course, it can flow far more easily. After the flooding, the river can return to its normal channel, and the fish and wildlife seem to be completely unaffected. What's
happened there? It would appear we have a transmission issue. I'm still live, aren't I? 2 wee seconds, let me refresh that. This is like the start of a Halloween stream, isn't it? I've been taken off the air. No, we should be fine. We should be fine.
Of course, it can flow far more easily. After the flooding, the river can return to its normal channel, and the fish and wildlife seem to be completely unaffected. This first experimental stretch of the River Roding has been closely watched for 3 years, but the toughest test came during the last few weeks as the rainfall figures soared to record levels. But the new flood system worked perfectly and the carpets of Abridge stayed dry.
There you go. So next time you're next to Roding, Essex lot, have a wee look and see if you can see some carved bits. You could be like, I'll end on the 10:30 stream. That's for see when the flood happens, so that the wee fishies are cool.
Robots are a versatile breed in
Now we're fucking talking, lads.
Japan. And getting the chance to admire or even play with them at exhibitions like this provides the perfect weekend.
Hold on, what's happening here? Robots on unicycles? Is that a person or is that a robot as well? Is that somebody just sort of moving it with their hands, or is that a humanoid robot on their knees? This is all good, isn't it?
Entertainment here.
Oh no, it's an actual moving thing. Namco? Namco, everybody, look at this, everybody. What? I must say the music is absolutely bananas. Did I say Unix cycle? Did I? That's good. Oh no, you're making a joke. Good, that's good. I love you, robots. 100%. 100%. We've went from a diorama to robots, everybody. This is wonderful.
Japan, as we know by now, is fascinated by robots. So much so that 70% of the world's industrial robots can be found here, where they're not regarded as a threat, as they tend to be in Britain, but as friends. Come on, Robert. Although they're not all as useful as my new colleague Robert, robots are now part of everyday Japanese life. Some of them are little more than toys, but they're
I've never built a line-following robot, and I think I need to at some point in my life.
toys which demonstrate what robots of the future will get up to. And at the same time, they get children as hooked on robotics as their
Watch Svengali? Amazing.
parents already are. Some of them are even designed for the more serious job of teaching the rudiments of robot programming. Children learn how to feed instructions into a microcomputer which controls a miniature robot arm. It doesn't take long to work out.
Fair enough. It's just coordinates.
How to key in the correct commands to make the robot perform a series of simple tasks. The sort of tasks already performed by vast armies of robots in Japan's factories. Often little more than a mechanical arm with a computer memory, but able to...
I love as well that there's like what appears to be a geodesic dome structure overhead. They've got all my things, everybody. They've got all my things all in the one place. I need to go to Japan.
To repeat endlessly.
Oh.
Simple but important tasks. They, however, are just the beginning. The next generation of robots is far more likely to win leading roles in Star Wars. The prototypes are already here.
I like that they've taken time to put a wee character on all of them. Reminds me of how Steve Jobs insisted that for the early Mac computer that it said hello when you switched it on, because he wanted it to be welcoming in contrast to other computers that were on the market. Just to be perceived as like a friendly, warm piece of technology to a group that otherwise weren't familiar with computers. And I suppose the same consideration was made here, where every single robot has got some sort of face on it or is somehow designed to be friendly, and that was obviously an intentional choice by the looks of it. It was, I was thinking of the Strand Beast, I forgot the name of it though.
So far, the robot designers seem to be concentrating on dreaming up ingenious new methods of locomotion, even tackling those essential but mundane problems like climbing stairs.
Yes, man. You can do it. That's very
machines have
clever,
one
innit?
big limitation. I, for example, had no trouble winning at kendo because my opponent, though...
Kendo sticks, I haven't seen them out of the context of wrestling. Like Steve Blackman and all of that. Kendo sticks, I never thought I'd see Judith Han yield a kendo stick. Wield a kendo stick.
Japanese was a robot, and none of these robots can think. So that's the challenge for the
Judith Han v Robot kendo stick match on Sunday Night Shite Fights. I think that's what the world needs. Get Balmer back on the blower.
80s, working on developing intelligence.
No, fuck it, that robot.
Toys
man.
like this, which can to some extent sense the world around them, are all the public is yet being allowed to see of intelligent robots. But in fact, many large companies are secretly working on big budget projects to produce the R2-D2s and C3POs of the future.
Martin Hyder, I believe the bong sound is now back on contemporary Mac laptops. Dong. I believe it's now back.
Off you go. A glimpse of that future is offered by robots which have the intelligence to move around, avoiding obstacles, with the smaller child robot using his senses to follow the mother. If they can combine that intelligence with the mechanical sophistication they've already achieved, perhaps there's no limit to the type of jobs robots could take over.
That robot's not playing guitar. I know my guitars, and that's not doing that.
Although surely television reporters will still be safe.
That's all for this week from me, Robert the Robot, Nagoya, Japan.
And that's all from me, 10:30. How good is tomorrow's world, man? How good is tomorrow's world? Oh, it's the very business. It's the absolute business. Okie dokie. I'm not working tomorrow. I don't have a day job lined up tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is a bloody stream. What am I doing on my stream? Don't know. Might be the first day back of flipping... the bubble robot. Probably not though. I'll probably just sit and chat shit about whatever comes into my mind. But hey, guess what everybody though? Guess what? Don't go to bed just yet. Don't go to bed just yet because I want to raid somebody that I don't get to raid too often. Did you know that Cater Cakes is back streaming? Did you know about that? Cater Cakes is streaming right now, so we're all going to go over there and we're all going to give Kate a big 10:30 welcome, eh? And say hello and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to be doing that. I will be in chat at least for another hour or something. Cater Cakes is one of my most favourite streamers, and I highly recommend, if you don't sub, at least follow Kate. If you get any Prime subs or anything on the go, bang them to Cater Cakes. Let's fucking go, everybody. Listen, I will see you tomorrow at 1:30 in the afternoon. And until then, let me say my name is James Houston. Houston's boosting. But before I do, please enjoy this magic trick. Check it out, man. See you later. Have a good night, everybody. Love you. Bye. See you later. Bye then. Bye. Ta-ta. See you in Kate's. See you in Kate's. Bye. See you.